In the past few episodes, we have been talking about the need for a living ideal in life. In the last episode, we discussed why a living ideal is essential to ensure balanced, simultaneous, symmetrical, and harmonious growth in all aspects of life. However, one may have a question in his mind. If one is an intelligent person, a knowledgeable person, a highly qualified person, does that person need a living ideal? If that person has access to information, books, scriptures, access to teachers, why does he need a living ideal? Let's try to find the answer to this question through an example. Hemchandra Mukhopadhyay was a very famous, renowned poet in Bengal. He wrote many books. His literature has been widely acclaimed. He was a learned man, a man of intelligence, but he had a bad habit. He was a drunkard. He was alcoholic. One day, he got an opportunity to visit Sri Sri Thakur Anukul Chandra. When he came to meet Sri Sri Thakur, he was in an inebriated condition. He was drunk. But Sri Sri Thakur Anukul Chandra welcomed him warmly, started talking to him lovingly, in a very loving and caring tone. Hemchandra was surprised. Hemchandra told Sri Sri Thakur, Thakur, right now I'm drunk. Thakur said, so what? Hemchandra said, don't you dislike me? Sri Sri Thakur said, why should I dislike you? Hemchandra said, everybody dislikes me because I drink alcohol. Sri Sri Thakur continued to talk to him in a very loving and caring tone. Hemchandra asked Sri Sri Thakur, Thakur, how is it possible? Nobody has treated me so well. Everybody hates me, dislikes me. But you are talking to me with so much of compassion and love. Don't you really hate me? Sri Sri Thakur said, why should I hate you? If there is a wound in your left hand, and if that wound becomes infectious, does your right hand keep away from your left hand? No. Rather, it tries to nurse your left hand so that the wound can heal. So you are my own. Why should I hate you? Rather, I should take care of you. Hemchandra said, Thakur, I'm really enchanted. I'm mesmerized. Your love and compassion for me. I want to be here. I want to come here regularly. Sri Sri Thakur said, you are most welcome. Please come to me every day. Hemchandra said, but Thakur, what about my alcohol? Sri Sri Thakur said, well, I will give you alcohol. You come here. I will give you alcohol. Hemchandra was surprised. All the devotees of Sri Sri Thakur who were present there were also equally surprised. Sri Sri Thakur, who always advises us not to drink alcohol, not to smoke, not to have any addictions or bad habits, he himself is offering alcohol to Hemchandra. What's going on? But since their master, their Guruji had already made a statement, they were quiet, they could not say anything. Thereafter, the activity of Hemchandra visiting Satsang Ashram and meeting Sri Sri Thakur every day and Sri Sri Thakur offering him alcohol continued for several days. People outside the ashram started talking about this. They started bad-mouthing Sri Sri Thakur and Satsang. But Sri Sri Thakur did not bother about it. One day, Hemchandra, in the morning, found himself sleeping on the lap of Sri Sri Thakur. He was surprised. He got up suddenly, looked at Sri Sri Thakur, and asked, Thakur, how come I'm here? How come I am lying on your lap? Sri Sri Thakur said, don't you remember that last night, almost about midnight, you came to me? You were in an inebriated condition. You were drunk. You were almost falling unconscious. You were walking unsteadily. Hemchandra said, no, I don't remember anything. Thakur said, you came here last night. And once you started talking, you started vomiting, and you vomited on me. Hemchandra realized that the room was stinking. And he also found out that Sri Sri Thakur's shining white clothes were soiled because he had vomited on him. Hemchandra asked him, Thakur, was I lying on your lap since last night? Thakur said, yes. Hemchandra said, Thakur, but why? Why didn't you ask me to move out? Why didn't you wake me up? Why didn't you take me off your lap? You have been holding me like this since last night? Sri Sri Thakur said, yes. I did not want to trouble you. You were unconscious. You were not feeling well. I did not really want to bring you any inconvenience, any pain. I was waiting for you to wake up. Hemchandra realized that for the last 7 to 8 hours, he was lying unconscious and his head was on the lap of Sri Sri Thakur. Sri Sri Thakur for the last 7 to 8 hours did not budge. He did not move from there. Hemchandra was feeling miserable. His heart was filled with repentance. He was feeling guilty. He realized that he has given so much of pain to his master. In a few minutes, Hemchandra stood up, walked out of the room, and he came back in a few minutes again. He was carrying in his hands a few bottles of alcohol. He showed them to Sri Sri Thakur and said, Thakur, I promise today that I am not going to touch alcohol ever after. He went out and threw these bottles of alcohol away and came back and bowed down at the feet of Sri Sri Thakur and said, Thakur, forgive me. The alcoholic Hemchandra became the pious Hemchandra. What a transformation. My dear friends, Hemchandra was a man of wisdom. He was a learned man. He was a poet. His literature had touched and ignited many minds. But he himself was a broken man. His character was broken. In spite of having knowledge, wisdom, qualification, caliber, he could not transform his life until he came in contact with his living ideal, Sri Sri Thakur Anukur Chandra. My dear friends, intellect does not change a person. Knowledge or qualification do not change a person. What drives a person then? What changes a person then? It's a love center in our life, changes our life. The magnetic pull of that love center can transform a human being. And who is that love center? who can be that love center? That love center can be anyone or anything. But if you have the supreme lover of the mankind as our living ideal, right at the center of our life, then transformation becomes normal. We do not have to force anyone to change. Change becomes spontaneous. That's the significance of having a living ideal in the center of our life. My dear friends, knowledge does not drive a person. Ideas do not drive a person. Ideologies do not drive a person. But a human being in whom these ideas have been embodied can transform, can drive a person. It is the embodiment of ideas who can drive a person. My dear friends, nobody has changed his life just by reading Ramayana, Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita, the Bible, or the Quran. But people have changed their lives by having Lord Krishna as their living ideal, by having Lord Rama as their living ideal, by having Jesus Christ as their living ideal, by having Rasul Muhammad as their living ideal. We need that living ideal. The magnetic pull of that living ideal can transform our life, and our love, admiration, and service for that living ideal establishes the true connection with Him.